Hello, thank you for coming back to my channel. I had the privilege today of joining the Zoom call. I'm part of something I'm working on this year as well. It's going to be two separate bills: the timely prison bill, um, timely release parole bill, and also the elder parole bill. I took the liberty of recording this. I hope you enjoy it. Please, if you like my content, subscribe, hit that little bell in the corner there. You'll get all the updated things that I come out with. Also, please comment below. Let me know what you think of the videos I come out with. I always enjoy conversating and also finding things new to put on my channel. So if you have any tips or anything you'd like me to cover or do some research on and then do a video on, let me know.
Good morning once again, and thank you all for being here. My name is Jeannie, and I'm with the People's Campaign for Parole Justice and an impacted family member. This is our first virtual press conference of the new year, and tomorrow begins a critically important new legislative session in New York State. We are excited to be joined today by formerly incarcerated leaders from across the state, New Yorkers with loved ones in prison, the new Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, as well as key legislators who are leading the fight in Albany to pass parole justice, to pass the elder and fair and timely parole bills. The crisis of mass incarceration is at a boiling point, with people dying in New York prisons once every 3 days on average. A recent report by the Columbia University Center for Justice found more people have died in our state's prison in just the last 10 years than the total number of people executed during the more than 350 years in which New York applied the death penalty. Think about that. With deaths of older adults over 55 in particular skyrocketing. The report called long sentence and racially biased parole denials, quote, New York's new death penalty, close quote. We need to pass the elder parole and fair and timely parole bills to help end this crisis. Let's pass these bills for the families. More than 100,000 children in New York State have an incarcerated parent. That includes my daughter. She's one of them. It's so important to pass these bills to help fight COVID-19. The new COVID variants are already taking lives in prisons again. My husband is at Sing Sing right now, and I heard from him this morning. There are over 50 officers that are out with COVID, and as of a few minutes ago, 31 incarcerated men that are tested positive. They are mostly locked in their cells, right? Because there's over 50 officers that are out with COVID. He does get to go out and fulfill his job, feeding people who are sick. He works with men in hospice, and I'm really proud of this, but as his wife, I am seriously worried that he's not protected. He's given this cloth mask, which is probably made for children, squishes his nose so he can't really breathe. And that's the only mask he has. It's not big enough for him, and he's expected to reuse it day in and out, day after day. It's just not working. This is not what the CDC is urging. So let's pass these bills for community safety. With higher rates of shootings and homicides amid the turmoil of the pandemic, these reforms will give dedicated, community-driven, and transformed people a chance at freedom, and an opportunity to serve as mentors, nonprofit leaders, and drug counselors for young people in their home communities. One report found a violent interpreter program led by formerly incarcerated people led to 20% less gun violence. So we need to pass these bills. Let's pass these bills for racial justice, and let's do it to reinvest in our communities. Another Columbia University report found passage of elder parole and fair and timely parole would save $522 million annually, money that could be invested in expanding community-based, public health-centered violence prevention programs, services for crime survivors, quality mental health care, education, and so much more. We also know that there is a massive support for reform, including from Governor Hochul's key advisor, Dr. Hazel Dukes, who's the president, New York State NAACP, public advocate Jumani Williams, the Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg, who's here with us today, many of the state's largest victim and survivor advocacy groups, the Working Families Party, SEIU 1199, CWA District 1, Citizen Action of New York, and over 300 other organizations from Long Island to Buffalo. So let's get this done. We need to do it. We have to get it done this year. Okay, so first up, we're going to hear from Assembly Member Jessica Gonzalez Rojas. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Jeannie, so much. Your story is so meaningful, and I know you have to relive your trauma over and over and over again as you share it. And just know that there's so many of us fighting for your partner and for your family. So my name is Assembly Member Jessica Gonzalez Rojas. I use she, her, ella pronouns, and I'm very proud to be a sponsor of the parole justice bills, and specifically be an advocate for elder parole and fair and timely parole. You know, I'm a new member. This is my first year, and within my first year, I have spent my time visiting prisons and jails around the state. I've talked to countless people who are incarcerated. I've met directly with impacted families, and I've heard over and over again that people should not be held to the worst moment of their life. People reform, people change. The system is not really meant for change. It is a really difficult and horrible place to be, but some people are able to do good within the system and deserve an opportunity to be free and to be with their families. So I am so thrilled to fight and to advocate for bills like elder parole and fair and timely parole. And I want to make this clear. These are actually not radical bills. They are common sense bills. As Jeannie mentioned, this would enhance safety. These will unite families. This will help communities. Think about it. Someone who's 55 and older has spent 15 years in prison, has done their time. This would give them an opportunity just to go before the parole board and share their story, share how they changed, share how they may be ready to be back with their families and their communities. And fair and timely has to accompany that so that we really re-envision the way in which the parole system is done and give people a real fair shot at redemption and an opportunity to live their lives and be in their families and communities. So this is such an important set of bills. I am so deeply proud to support it. I'm proud to carry the stories of so many who would basically face a life sentence in prison, that would lead to their death. These sentences should not be death penalties for people who are ready to be back in their communities, ready to be back in their families, and ready to contribute to public safety. So let's get it done. Jeannie, I'm here with you and all the advocates who have been fighting. I am proud to advocate and elevate the voices of the people most impacted in the halls of the Assembly. And let's change the narrative. Let's get this done. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much, Assembly Member Jessica Gonzalez Rojas. We are always happy when you join us, and these bills really are very simple. 55 and older and 15 years in, it's only giving someone an opportunity to go before the parole board. It's not a get out of free jail card, but it is definitely an opportunity to show who they are holistically today. Next up, we have Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, who just took office a few days ago. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm humbled to join with so many who worked so hard for years on these issues, and so many of you have been directly impacted by them. So it's an honor to join with you. You hit it up front. There's a crisis in our prisons, that predates COVID, but intensified by COVID, whether it's those dying in custody, whether it's the health conditions that underlies all of this. And we also know the data. We know the data in terms of aging out and things of that nature. And so this is, I would add to this common sense and equity-based and justice-driven. It's also data-driven, based in real-life experiences, aggregated for sound public policy that we've got to give folks a chance to go, as you said, and just a shot to go forward and tell their story. So this is profoundly important to the County of Manhattan, to me personally. In addition to the overall equity issues, also just wanted to underscore what you said. This is a racial justice issue too. Almost every single issue that affects our criminal system is a racial justice issue. And that is so before us here. We see who is incarcerated. We see the parole board outcomes. And we need one standard of justice for all. So the spirit of these bills animates with me. And we need to reserve our justice system for real public safety challenges. And let those who have lived and walked, as you said, have their moment with the parole board. This is fundamentally important, and honored and humbled to join with you. So thank you.
Thank you so much, District Attorney Alvin Bragg. Next up, we have a very good friend of mine, a fellow rap community leader, and a wife of a currently incarcerated person from Harlem, Teresa Moses.
Hey, good morning, Jeannie. Good morning, panel. Jeannie, it's Grady. Good morning, all. Yes, I am a community leader with rap from Harlem. I am an impacted wife of a husband who has served 17 years at this time of a 40-year bid. At this very moment, my husband is suffering with his kidneys. It's not looking good. It's a disparity. It's anger for me, and it's hurt for him. Here's why elder parole is so important to me. My husband is 67 years old. If he has to wait till a full 40-year bid, I'm being honest here, he probably will be dead. Because it's, he'll be 98, 100 or something. He won't survive, not merely because of the age doubling as each day go by, and COVID taking over the prison as it is at this moment. The medical care is not there. So I'm speaking out to all. We need to do just that. Pass these two bills. Pass the elder parole bill. Pass the fair and timely bill. Let's get these bills pushed into law, because these bills will help, as Jeannie has mentioned, as Assemblywoman Rojas has mentioned, and District Attorney Alvin Bragg. I'm especially kind of kicking it out there because I am a Harlemite, and I know your roots come from Harlem, and I know you can understand that families throughout all the boroughs, they need their loved ones back home, and a lot of their loved ones are mentors inside, have redeemed themselves, have showed themselves approved. They need to come home so that they can get out here and help our youth stay from in that involving system that is there today that is racially motivated, that is non-caring about the brown and black people. Bring them home. And thank you for letting me speak.
I feel your pain, Teresa, and I'm with you on that. We do need to bring our loved ones home, and these bills are truly no-brainers. Next, we have Senator Julia Salazar, parole justice champion, chair of the Committee on Crime Victims, and Correction, and lead Senate sponsor of the Fair and Timely Parole Act. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Jeannie. Good morning, everyone. We are now at the beginning of a new legislative session in Albany, and that is a really exciting time because it's really an opportunity for us to do meaningful work. But this also is an especially dangerous time for people who are incarcerated in New York. We are seeing a historically high number of incarcerated people dying in New York State prisons, and that's especially true for our elders over the age of 55 dying in prison. It should not be this way, and it doesn't need to be this way. This is what we are talking about when we talk about parole justice. We need parole justice in New York in order to minimize the number of people who are spending the end of their lives in prison, who are continuing to be locked up long after they have already been changed and rehabilitated, and when they deserve to go home to their families. This begins with passing the Fair and Timely Parole Bill and the Elder Parole Bill through the state legislature. We need both of these pieces of legislation in order to bring parole justice to the many people who are incarcerated in New York State and to their families. This is just common sense. It is cruel that our state continues to incarcerate people at the end of their lives. Many people who have medical conditions. We know that the circumstances that people have to live with while they're incarcerated are aging them at a higher rate than those of us who are outside and who enjoy our liberties and ability to maintain our health. It really is cruel that we keep our elders in particular, but that we keep so many people for far too long in these conditions. We know that mass incarceration is a serious problem in our country and in our state, and this is just a very important step toward addressing that problem. So I'm really urging my colleagues to join me in supporting both the Fair and Timely Parole Bill and the Elder Parole Bill. This needs to be the year that we finally make these bills law in New York so that we can have parole justice for all of these individuals and for their families. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Salazar. Those words are, I hope they reach the masses because it's really important. And next, we are going to hear from Senator Bragg, a parole justice champion, and the lead Senate sponsor of the Elder Parole Bill. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Jeannie. It's so good to be here with my colleagues, and it's really good to be here with new Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. I mean, Jeannie, we can really demonstrate the progress that RAP and all the organizers have made with this initiative on these bills by virtue of the fact that we have our new Manhattan District Attorney joining us today. That is huge. That is so significant. I cannot overstate how appreciative I am of his words and his support for these bills, because he understands it in his heart and soul, but he also understands it as a policymaker and as a prosecutor, and we need more prosecutors to take District Attorney Bragg's words forward. So I want to say that, what we're seeking and the elder parole legislation is really just an opportunity for these men and women to appear before the parole board. It's been misrepresented by legions of the far right-wing media that somehow we're granting parole to individuals. We're just asking for these individuals who have served 15 years or longer or older than 55 years to have a chance to appear before the parole board and make their case. Everyone who is behind bars, everyone who has family outside of those institutions, communities waiting for them to return, deserves that opportunity. And that's what these bills do. They fix our broken parole system. They give individuals a chance to return to their homes, to demonstrate their rehabilitation, and to strive toward rehabilitation while they're incarcerated. We are creating a new incentive for individuals to be rehabilitated. And that's something that I think has been lost by quarters of the media. And I hope during this legislative session, working with Senator Salazar and Member Jessica Rojas Gonzalez, we can make that case along with Assemblymember Weprin, who I see with us today. So we have an uphill struggle, as always, when it comes to criminal justice reform, but I feel that we have the wind at our backs with great new representatives of our community on this Zoom, and we will ensure that we seek justice and an opportunity for justice for members of our families and communities. Thank you so much, Jeannie.
Thank you so much, Senator Hoyman. It's always nice to see you, and thank you for those words. As an impacted family member, I do appreciate the fight and your continued support. Next, we are going to have Greg Mingle, a formerly incarcerated person from Westchester and an advocate for parole justice. Mingle, welcome home, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay. I agree that those two bills, the elder parole bill and the family fed.
Greg, can you actually turn on your video? Sorry.
I'm new at this. Is it on?
Doing great.
Huh? Is it on?
It's off again, but you had it on for a moment. Perfect. Thank you so much.
No, your audio is off.
Your mic is off, Greg.
Is it on?
Yes, there you go.
All right. My name is Greg Mingle, and I want to thank everyone for participating. I served 40 years, 1 month and 21 days. I just came home in September 16th. On Cuomo's last day in office, I was fortunate enough to be granted clemency. And I can tell you from experience, it's not something I'm just talking about. I've lived the experience. I don't think it's hard to imagine. I couldn't even imagine what it's like to spend 40 years in prison. But I have. And I survived. But there's a lot that haven't survived. In fact, the day before, a week before I was released, one of my friends died in prison. He was 16 years old when he went in. He had been incarcerated for 45 years. And just one day, he just died. That's something that happens all the time. And So fair and timely parole bill and the elder bill needs to be passed. For me, one of the big things is I think we all know it needs to be passed. But the thing is that I think a lot of people don't know what to do to help support it getting passed. So if somebody could really lay out a plan and what do we really need to do besides talking about it to get it done? Sure, we have to get people on board, but what can we do to ensure that we get those people on board to pass them, ensure that the passage of these bills? They're critical. Also, I know since I've been home, I've been in touch with a lot of formerly incarcerated guys, and they're doing great things. They're working in agencies, they're mentoring the youth, they provide support for the young brothers outside the communities, and they're doing a tremendous job. And all we ask them for is an opportunity, like everyone said. Elder parole and stand timely parole board is not a get out of jail free card. It's an opportunity to go before the parole board and so they can see the difference that you made in not just in your life, but in other people's lives. For me, it's never been about change. I think it's been more about growth, kind of like a tree. A tree has roots, and a tree grows, and it grows branches, it grows leaves, and a lot of times, more often than not, it bears fruit. So I think those are important elements when you talk about change, because if you grow, you're going to change automatically. And I just think that we need to do more, get people on board more. I think families don't really fully understand the impact that they have and the power they voice. Similarly, I think that prisoners don't fully understand the impact that they have and the power that we have with our voices. And so I'm asking for a plan that we can come up with where we can get more people engaged, get more people to do things, and show them what they need to do.
Thank you, Greg.
All right, thank you.
That is a fact. Okay. Once again, welcome home, and thank you so much for continuing this fight for parole justice. And we definitely appreciate you. Next up, we're going to have Assembly Member David Weprin, Chair of the Correction Committee and lead sponsor of the Fair and Timely Parole Act. Welcome, Assembly Member Weprin.
Thank you, Jeannie, and thank you, advocates, for persevering for so many years. I, too, want to welcome our new Manhattan DA, Alvin Bragg, who, congratulations if you're still on District Attorney, and I'm happy to see that you'll be supportive of our legislative effort. This is actually my 6th year now. It'll be my 6th legislative session chairing the Corrections Committee, and I've been advocating for elder parole as well as fair and timely parole, which I'm the prime sponsor of for all of those years and even before. I'm honored to join my counterpart in the Senate, Senator Salazar, and my colleague in the Assembly, Jessica Gonzalez-Rojas from Queens as well. I have to emphasize the committee name that I chair is known as the Correction Committee, not the Committee on Punishment. And I think we have to emphasize that, Correction Committee. That distinction matters, and as chair, I'm dedicated to ending mass incarceration, which is plagued by systematic racism, as we all know. A few months ago, and we had a couple of sessions on this, Columbia University Center for Justice published a report confirming what we already know, and many families have experienced firsthand. Death by incarceration is a major crisis in our facilities. The report points to my bill, the fair and timely parole, as well as the elder parole, as measures that will help end this crisis. I will continue to fight for these bills in the 2022 legislative session, which, as was mentioned, will be starting tomorrow, because ending mass incarceration in the United States is a necessary and just course for our city and state. The nature of the crime committed will never change, but the person who committed the crime can, hence the term correction. That is what our criminal justice system should be focused on. Who a person is today may not be the same person they were when they first committed the crime. I met many incarcerated individuals over my 6 years now. Will be my 7th year chairing the committee. Many have truly changed their lives. They have taken the steps to educate themselves and those around them. Many serve as mentors to younger incarcerated people. My faith and my experience cannot allow for people like that to continue to be punished long after their minimum sentence. Our system must recognize when someone takes responsibility and the steps necessary to rehabilitate themselves and serve our community. This is a vital session to do what is right and stand by those who are victims of a broken system. I refuse to let the elderly, vulnerable, and those who are eligible for parole to remain in these deplorable conditions in our correctional facilities any longer. I refuse to continue this trend of separating families longer than they have to be. For the sake of the future of New York, now is the time to pass these two bills and to have them signed into law by Governor Hochul. Thank you.
That's right. Thank you so much, Assemblymember Weapon. Hochul, bring them home. She's got executive power to grant clemency every single day, and she's just not doing anything. So I appreciate those words. Next, we're going to have Jose D. Lenola, a formerly incarcerated person from Rochester and advocate for parole justice. Jose, I hope I pronounced your last name correctly.
That's correct. Jeannie, thank you for inviting me, greeting panelists and all. Does my sound good? Okay. So I am 14 days released. I just came home 2 weeks ago. At the age of 16, I was incarcerated, served a sentence of 26 years. And I am one of the rare individuals that made release on my first parole appearance. And just to kind of give you an understanding of that, I had a roughly 60% chance of being denied. And through the years, through most of my incarceration, 22 years, I was a peer educator for just about every DOCS program available and those that are no longer available. And through those years, I have firsthand experience with men who have confronted the harms that they cause the victims, the victim's family, the community, who feel a deep sense of sadness and shame for their choices, and took really hard steps to look at themselves and implement very concrete strategies to become rehabilitated and to become assets to their families, to their communities, to those around them. And so the struggle that I've seen a lot with a lot of these gentlemen is that when it comes time to the parole board, they've come to the board with all of these accomplishments, with all of these recommendations, letters from superintendents, letters from correction officers, a whole list of programs that they've completed, some that they've created, that they volunteered for, youth programs, the list goes on and on. And they appear before the board and they're denied release many times. I know a gentleman who's been to 16 parole boards, 8 de novo. And he's just languishing in prison. And he's a very elder man. And the confusion is, what do you need to do to prove that you are rehabilitated? And so the concern for a lot of us incarcerated is that there's too much, there is not enough of a criteria to say that, okay, well, these are great indicators that you are eligible for release. There's a lot of vague interpretive framework here. And so it's hard for a lot of men, and it's very discouraging. I've seen quite a good number of men lose hope and waste away in prison. I know many men who have died in prison, and they say it's from diabetes, and liver failure, and these other issues, and I also think it's attributed to just a surrendering to the ills of incarceration. And so I know I'm very fortunate to be out, very fortunate to have the experiences that I have. And so now when I look back on these men, and also women who are serving extended periods of time, going back and forth parole board, I ask people, like, what can we do? And so I just want the public to know and to be very informed that, we that were incarcerated, we took the steps and are taking steps to look at our lives and better our lives so that when we are released, we are an asset. We are a contributing member to society. We aren't, the thing that news portrays us, this parolee returning home that you have to worry about. In less than 1% of the cases, we are the people that you have the least to worry about. We don't go back to prison. We don't reoffend. We become assets. We become family members. And we become citizens. We become taxpayers. We be the people that we were striving to be as children, as young men and young women, but we made mistakes. We took wrong turns. So I'm just asking for people to just really think about that. Think about those that are in prison that are ready. They've been ready even long before their date for parole come up. They're ready, and they're begging for an opportunity to come out and prove that they have reformed themselves. They're begging to come out and prove that you can rely on them to just be right back into the community, to assist and help in any ways, whether it's shoveling a neighbor's driveway, carrying bags, or just participating in parole reform. So I encourage everybody to pass the message on, talk to family, talk to friends, talk to those who maybe not know necessarily on board, and just ask them, how long does it take to show that they're ready for it? When is the time right? Thank you.
Thank you, Jose, and welcome home. And that is very true. The parole board members act like judge and jury, and they don't stick to the script and don't really give people an opportunity to show who they are holistically, and that's something else that we need to address. Next, we have New York Assembly member and longtime champion for parole justice, Harvey Epstein. Welcome.
Thank you, and Jimmy, thank you for all you do, and Happy New Year to everyone. And so this is a really important time in our state's history. We have a new governor. We have an election year. We're going to have new district lines. We have an opportunity to enhance some really amazing criminal justice reform pieces of legislation. Elder parole, fair and timely parole are critical pieces of that package. We know we have an opportunity now. We know we can get it done. We know we have the votes. The question is whether we have the will. This is going to require all of us together to stand together and fight for elder parole, fair and timely parole, to prioritize it with our conference, to prioritize it with the governor. We know that people's voices are being heard. We know we keep talking about it. We're going to lift up the energy more. I'm not saying it's not just you, but it's all of us. We need everyone to tell everyone. Reach out to your assembly member, reach out to your senator, reach out to the governor and say this is our priority for 2022. We need to say how this is critical for our communities. I see this playing out every day. We have the opportunity to change this. We have the opportunity to pass these bills. As we start the legislative session tomorrow, everyone who's listening, everyone who's out there, please tell your members to prioritize this now because our lives are dependent on it, because people will die if they are not released. Thank you all. Thanks for letting me be here. And Happy New Year to you all. Let's get it done 2022.
Thank you, Assembly Member Epstein. That's right. Let's get it done this year. We have to pass these bills and stop mass incarceration. Next, we have Caroline Hansen, a rap community leader from Long Island whose husband is currently incarcerated. And Caroline, I don't know if it's Caroline or Caroline, but please forgive me, and I hope I pronounced it correctly.
Yes, thank you, Jeannie. It's an honor to be able to speak today and just to hear everything everybody said. It was so powerful, and it's just an honor to be here with you all. So these two bills, the elder parole bill and the fair and timely parole, will help so many incarcerated men and women and so many family members like myself. My husband is currently serving a life without parole sentence in Sullivan Correctional Facility, upstate in Monticello. He will be incarcerated for 26 years this August. He was sentenced at 20 years old. It was between the time of 95 and 04 when capital punishment came back into New York, and it was a very excessive sentence. The only chance he will get at coming home is if these bills are passed. The only chance. He will die in prison. Since being incarcerated, he has gotten his GED, his associate's degree, his bachelor's degree. He works with the youth assistance program. He's worked with the church. He's just done so much good. You know, I like the analogy with the tree and it grows. He's no longer a 20-year-old drug-addicted, uneducated teenager. He's a father, a son, a brother. My in-laws, my father-in-law just turned 80, and he said to me, Caroline, I don't want to see my son die in prison. I don't want to die and know my son is still in prison. And that's just horrible. I mean, you know, somebody else mentioned about the COVID rates. They've had 2 blocks shut down in Sullivan. They stopped contact visits now. We can't hug our family members. I've seen children go into the visiting room not being able to hug grandpa or daddy, not be able to sit on their lap. These bills just have to be passed. And I know, speaking personally, that this is our only chance. And, you know, recently I've really been connected with some wonderful people that understand and don't judge. And so many people are impacted by incarceration in one way or another, have known someone or are personally impacted. And we really need to get our voices heard this year. We really need to do something about it. And, you know, I urge everyone, please say something, speak out, tell your story, say hi to somebody next to you. You know, you never know who you can affect. So thank you for letting me be here. Thank you for letting me speak, and Happy New Year, everybody. Let's get these bills passed.
Thank you, Caroline. My heart goes out to you. I'm sending you a virtual hug. We're going to get these bills passed, and we're going to get all our loved ones home. We got to keep the faith. And we have some amazing legislative leaders here on this call who are pushing and are with us. And so we're going to get this done. 2022, yes, we are. Our next speaker is Jerome Wright, formerly incarcerated leader in the fight for parole justice from the Buffalo area. Thank you so much for being here, Mr. Wright.
Hey, thank you, Jeannie. Thank you for everybody for joining us today. I thinking about what I was going to say, and I just want to give a quick statement about my history. I was 18 years old when I was sentenced to 18 and a half to life for murder in the Bronx, New York. At my sentencing, the judge, having had all the information at his disposal, said, I wish I could give you less time, but I can't. And I'm going not to give you the max, which would have been 25. I'm going to give you 18 and a half years, because I think if you continue to grow and develop in that amount of time, you should be prepared to come back. I spent 30 plus years incarcerated. I went to 7 parole boards and was only released because a judge in Erie County saw an Article 78 of mine and thought that it was an injustice, and said that if the parole board did not adjudicate me on who I was today, that he would intercede. And that's the only reason why I was cut loose. It should not need to be a threat from a judge to force the parole board to let somebody go who's well past their sentence and who has contributed as much as I could possibly, being a part of the youth assistance program, creating programs, running programs, stopping violence. All of these things I did because after a certain amount of time, when you're incarcerated, you grow up and you learn, not from getting rehabilitated by the system, but for the people in your lives who help you to grow, even those elders who are in there, that you deserve more and you mean more to society by growing and changing. And this is what many of us do. I am just one of thousands of men and women who spent their time believing in themselves, and changing the environment they were in. You want to stop the violence out here in society? Let our elders go. What we have is a lack of men and women that are credible messengers that can speak into the lives of the young people who are growing up right now without direction, because many of the elders who could direct them and willing and ready to are locked away and are going to stay locked away, unfortunately, until many of them die. I am who I am today because of the men and women who nurtured me in that environment to help me change and see that there was more to life than what I thought, and that I could be the best possible person I could be, regardless of the crime of my conviction. It is high time that we stop perpetually penalizing people for mistakes and crimes they committed in their youth. Nobody remains the same over a decade, 20 or 30. When you honor the change in the people who have committed these acts, you honor the growth that others who will follow them will be in their footsteps. This is not just about releasing people. This is about addressing a harm that continues to plague my community. That we take our elders out of the community and we make them our ancestors in prison, and we watch the next generation grow without the guidance, mentorship, and the leadership that would come from these men and women. I am begging each and everybody who can hear me to weigh in on this. It is high time that we stop criminalizing people for life and start returning them to society so they can be the citizens that can help them be. I can't make it any simpler than that. I am no anomaly, and I am no exception to the rule. I am part of the rule, and I need you to recognize that there are thousands others just like me who need these bills passed, need them passed now before another person gets caught with a gun or violence out here in the community, and before another one of our elders dies in there. Please understand that I am an amalgamation of all the decisions I made, not just the one I made on that fateful day in 1979. Please understand that and honor our men and women who have learned from their mistakes and who will be out here now helping our communities to grow, helping our young men and women to not follow in their footsteps. This is what these bills are about. Lives of the people who are out here now, not just the lives of those who are languishing unnecessarily in prison. Watch the change in the community. I have been out here. I have been a change agent, as have many others, and we need more help. The help comes in the passage of these bills. Let them go, free our people, and return them to their rightful place in society as the fathers, uncles, leaders, mentors of our community.
That's right, Jerome. Well said. My goodness, that is so true. None of us, not any one of us, is the sum of our worst mistake. None of us are. And so we hope that your words reach the masses. Jerome, thank you so very much. And our last speaker for today is Marcine Debusy. I hope I didn't butcher your name either. A formerly incarcerated leader from Syracuse. Welcome, and thank you for being here.
Yeah, hi, how you doing? It's fussy, but I'm fine with that. Thank you, Jerome Wright, for the words you said. It's very on point. Senator Holliman, and the young lady I want to see is the Salazar. I can't really say. The reason why timely parole and elderly parole will be beneficial, it's not just about bridging the gap between lost time for families. It's about changing our society to a more adaptable and a better place to live. I think Mr. Wright said it best. You know, you're taking the leaders of communities and you're keeping them away. You're criminalizing them for life. So the young people that are coming up behind them are missing something. They're missing leadership and guidance, because it takes someone to have gone through these hardships to be able to explain to these young men and women what's going on and what the real war is. Justice has to stop being blind now, because we always said justice is blind, but it's blind to the wrong things. It's blind to the fairness that we all need in our society to move forward. We're in a worldwide pandemic right now. So why are we wasting all this effort trying to keep people incarcerated, stopping them from coming home being with their families, with those monies that we could save by releasing these people who have completed these required programs, who have shown a propensity to change for the better? Why are we continually to keep them incarcerated when we can take that money and put it towards effort of correcting the wrongs that's going on in our society around the world now? We need these monies. We need doctors. We need medicine. We need other institutions to help protect each other from this pandemic. Our crime rate needs to drop. How is our crime rate going to drop when all the leaders and the fathers and uncles of these children are nowhere around so they can tell them what's going on and what it's like to be locked up and not be able to just walk up or walk to the refrigerator, get something to eat when you want, get on the phone, call a loved one, see how they're doing? Do you know how it affects a person to see their child and can't touch them and hold them? Do you know it's like for a child to see one of their parents right in a reach away, but they're not allowed to touch them and hold them? It's devastating. But then you expect this child to grow up with a rational state of mind when all he can remember or she can remember is, wasn't nobody trying to be rational when I wanted to see my daddy or my mother. We need to think about this. And just have we put the effort in to pursuing these convictions and locking these people up. You created rules that once we got locked up, we would have to complete certain programs and show a propensity for change. So if I do that, why will you not let me out? It's almost like you're pulling the rug from under me. It's like, go ahead, walk the door. You can go through it now. And as soon as I get to it, you pull the rug and pull me back away from it. It's not fair. It's not right. And it only perpetuates the problem that we're dealing with in our society around the world, and especially our society. If we're considered the example of a modern society, what a modern society and its people are supposed to be, we need to reflect that in every aspect of our lives and our society so other societies can see that, yeah, we have it right. Because right now they keep saying we're dropping the ball, because we are. We're not doing what we should be doing. See, you look at people in jail as the criminals, but if a person is in a position to release a person because they have done what they have done and they participated in everything they needed to participate in, and not just because they participated, but because they also have shown, and I believe, to have corrected some of their ways, it's a crime to keep that person locked up and away from society. It's like you said, I'm 57 now. Yes, I take care of myself, but I am older. If I go to prison and I didn't get a timely release, I have to consider and be concerned about dying in prison. But why do I have to think like that? I have to think like that because most people like me or people that are in positions that I've been in don't feel that we're going to be treated fairly when it comes to these certain considerations. That's not good for your health either. You're always in the gloom because you never feel great about anything. We have a lot of work to do. The timely parole and the elderly parole bill is only small steps towards that direction. There is steps towards that direction. You know, let's take the blindfolds off of our judicial system. Lady Justice is fine if she's allowed to do her job the way it was meant to be done. And I think if we get back to the realness of what we say we're about, not only will our society be a better place, our lives will be much better, people will enjoy life better, and maybe the world will be in the state that it's in now. Maybe it's a little far-fetched, but I don't think it is. Because all it takes is a little wrong, and it has a perpetual effect on everything else. It spreads like cancer. We have to do something. We have to stay positive. We have to keep trying. It's not always easy, but we have to do it. And the steps we need to take first is these bills. Let's get them passed, and I guarantee you, Akmal was positive that you will see a certain decline in certain types of activities and communities, and you will see an increase in certain positive things an increase. Why? Because families are getting back together, communities are rebuilding, and right now this is what we need. This is what we need before things become completely lost. And I appreciate y'all giving me this time to speak with y'all. I'm just happy that I'm going to be a part of this, and hopefully, you know, things will move in the direction we want them to go in. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your words, and I appreciate you being here. Right now, there's just so many people that are being infected and with this COVID. There aren't enough masks that are going around. You know, the testing is being delayed. I know that in Sing Sing right now, there's no proper heating in the annex COVID unit, building 5. 64 degrees. These men are suffering. They're sick. And there's over 65 officers that are out with COVID. This has to stop. People are dying. They do not have the opportunity to protect themselves properly, but they're on top of each other. They can't go. So even the addicts, you know. But anyway, I can go on and on and on about this because, you know, my husband is at risk, and so is everyone's loved ones that are here. I want to thank each and every single one of the panelists that joined us today. Let's get this done. We got to get this done, okay? We have an action day of advocacy, January 11th. Please spread the word. I don't know if someone can put the link up to register, but please, it's really, really important. You know, it takes a village, and we have to lend each and every single one of our voices. We have to spread the word and join us. The RSVP link is in the chat. Please take a moment to copy, paste, forward. It's really, really important. We have to spread the word, and we have to stick together to get the elder parole and the fair and timely parole bills passed. And parole justice. My family to all of yours, Happy New Year. Stay safe, be blessed, and we have a lot of work to do ahead of us.
Again, thank you for coming to my channel. If you liked it, please let me know. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, comment below. Let me know what I can do for my next video. Thank you and have a nice day.